This one is called Cyborg 2, Glass Shadow. It's a science fiction thriller film. In 2074, two corporations, Pinwheel Robotics and Kobayashi Electronics, they sit down and see what the dominance is in the market of cyborgs. Now, these machines have been rapidly replacing humans in every line of work, my friends, from soldiers on the battlefield to even harlots to prostitutes in brothels, the clandestine dollhouses. Even they got cyborgs in that. Oh yeah. Inside Pinwheel headquarters, the company's executives watch a screen as two cyborgs, they start to get closey in another room together. A while later, a lab technician starts counting down from 10, 9, 8, 7. Now, this female cyborg just explodes when the countdown ends and explodes herself with the other robot. The CEO of Pinwheel, Martin Dunn, notes that the female cyborg, Drina, was injected with 20 milligrams of an explosive substance called Glass Shadow, hence the name of the movie, right? He tells the other executives another robot called Cash, Reese, will be injected with over 100,000 of milligrams of the substance and sent to Osaka. Dunn reveals that Cash is the most sophisticated cyborg at Pinwheel, programmed to feel every human emotion such as love, hate, anger, lust, and fear. Now, this guy Dunn assures that if they send it to Pinwheel, they're gonna soon monopolize the biotech market after Kobayashi Corporation falls. After one of them falls, they'll take over. So pretty much they just want that power and want them out of the picture. Elsewhere in the building, Cash trains in martial arts with Colton Colt Rex. Colt manages to knock Cash down, but she kicks him in the abdomen as he tries to help her up. Cash gets on top of him and prepares to strike, but she lets her guard down when the AI dismisses the training session. Cash asks Colt about her roommate, Drina, but Colt contends and it's like, you know what, I don't know nothing. As Colt sleeps in his room that night, an eye comes on the TV and it just starts observing him mysteriously. The next day, Colt sees Cash being escorted by Dunn and two guards. He asks Dunn what they're planning to do to her, but Dunn stresses that it doesn't really concern him, so just shut up. As Colt walks away, he reminds himself that he will never get out of Pinwheel if he doesn't mind his own business. The guards take Cash to a lab where they temporarily shut her down to modify her programming. Hours later, the eye appears on TV screen and starts speaking to Cash. Now pay attention, because that eye starts telling Cash that she will need a human protector if she decides to escape from Pinwheel. Cash knows that she doesn't know any heroes, so the man on the screen makes a suggestion. When Cash gets out of the lab, she secretly gives Colt a matchbox. As Colt walks to his room, the mysterious man on the screen calls his attention and inquires about the item that Cash gave him. So Colt discloses that it's just a matchbox to relax. After the screen shuts down, Colt inspects the contents of the matchbox in his room and finds a message instructing him to go to Lab 9 in 1700 hours. Now, Colt asks the AI about the penalty for intimate contact with a cyborg. So the AI informs that the violators will be incarcerated and be compelled to pay a fine, in addition to reprogramming charges and legal action for product damage. The AI adds that the minimum sentence will be solitary confinement until death. Later that night, the man on the screen wakes Colt from his sleep and reminds him that he has to meet Cash in Lab 9 at 1700 hours, remember that? When he meets Cash at the lab, the man appears on another screen, so Colt asks him how he manages to get around. The man just reveals that he can communicate with anyone inside Pinwheel and has operatives outside. Colt asks Cash if she's seen the man before, so she shares that he talks to her at night. When all of a sudden, a door to another room just opens, and the man advises them to go inside. Very cool and sharp, if you ask me. The pair find themselves in a storage lab, where they see Drina's parts just shatter and broken. Suddenly, Drina comes online and tells Cash that the company disposed of her and warns her that she's next. The man on the screen reveals that Cash has been injected with glass shadow because she's a corporate counter-espionage unit. He knows that Dunn will send her to Osaka in 2 days to pose as an American investor at Kobayashi Corporation. The man stresses that Cash is programmed to self-detonate during a meeting with the executives to kill the company's entire chain of command. The crisis would allow Pinwheel to just take over the company when their stock value starts to drop. The man asks Cash to make a decision and start counting down from 5. Upon finishing the countdown, the man reveals that Cash has been reported stolen and Colt has been declared as the thief. Soon the alarm starts blaring, so Cash and Colt make their way to the freight elevator. On their way over there, they encounter guards who try to just shoot them and blast them, but one of them notes that they can't fire because they need a cyborg undamaged. As Cash beats up the guard, he beats up this one, he beats that one up. Another tries to sneak up on Colt, but he manages to fend him off and says, "Get the heck out." When more guards arrive, Cash throws a weapon at one of them, hitting him in the arm and causing him to fire at the man behind them. Cash and Colt eventually get inside the elevator, but it stops midway. Cash opens the hatch on the ceiling, but they see guards descending on the cables, so Colt instructs her to check the building schematics in her system to find another way to escape. Cash discovers another hatch under the floorboard. This is crazy. So Colt immediately breaks the board to open it. Cash soon goes down and breaks through an exhaust fan on the wall. Colt follows her and finds that they ended up in a trash chute room. Ooh, smelling pretty bad. The guards try going after them, but a woman waiting by the shaft kills them all. Cash and Colt get out of the chute by clinging to a trash can that shoots out of the building. Soon after breaking out of the Pinwheel Compound Corporation, Cash turns on a TV to communicate with the man on the screen. As Colt speaks with the man, Cash gets agitated after detecting that the glass shadow has been activated. The man realizes that Pinwheel connected Cash's recall code, the code of Cash, to her tracking system to detonate glass shadow when she leaves the plant. And she's just noticing all this. The man notes that Cash still has about 9 hours before detonation and advises her to stay calm because the signal is trying to make her dizzy so that she cannot perform and prevent her from escaping. The man instructs the pair to find someone named Wildcard at a warehouse downtown and go to the city museum in the south sector. Before leaving, Colt asks the man who he is. "Hey, who are you?" So he discloses that his name is Mercy. Later, Dunn meets with Chen, the woman in the elevator shaft. He instructs her to intercept Cash, replace the pinwheel detonator, and kill Colt once and for all. Chen expresses concern that the pinwheel board members might want their cyborg back, but Dunn tells her not to worry because he intends to destroy Cash, Pinwheel, and Kobayashi at the same time. During a meeting with the board members, Dunn warns them that sending Pinwheel security after Cash will alert hackers. Dunn says that Cash is not responding to the glass shadow activation warning because the emotion that drove her to escape is probably overriding her self-preservation instincts. Bunch of dorks. He suspects that Kobayashi Corporation might be responsible for helping Cash and Colt escape. So he suggests hiring a man who has experience hunting down cyborgs, if you know what I mean. Now, at this point, Dunn contacts the notorious bounty hunter Daniel Bench, and things really get to start to spice up and heat up after Daniel Bench, the bounty hunter. They have a little talk and says if he's still active. Daniel notes that he took a 5-year hiatus because his face was ruined during a job, so kind of like a solace in isolation type of thing. But he assures him that he's back after some aggressive and expensive surgeries. After negotiating the price, Dunn tells Daniel that he must find a female cyborg and a male human, Colt and Cash. And Colt and Cash soon reach the warehouse, but Cash decides to go alone. Noting that hackers are targeting a couple, as Colt waits in the vehicle, Mercy goes online and warns him that a professional cyborg tracker might already be on their tail, so just be careful. While Cash waits for Wildcard to appear, she encounters a Chinese fortune teller, ooh buddy, who offers her a job. However, Cash gets suspicious when the fortune teller suddenly grabs her hand tight and won't let go. When Cash breaks her hand, the fortune teller's assistant gets up and engages her in a fight, but Cash beats her with ease. Cash proceeds to knock out the doorman before fleeing from the warehouse. As Colt wanders the streets outside, Daniel sees him and asks him for a little light. While Colt lights his cigarette, the bounty hunter points a gun at him and asks him to cuff himself. Afterward, the bounty hunter takes Colt inside the warehouse to look for Cash. He shows a badge to the doorman, but the doorman immediately realizes it's fake. What is this? So the bounty hunter shoots the doorman dead, sadly, and leaves the warehouse with Colt. While Cash is searching for Colt, Chen sees her from a rooftop, so she catches her by the neck with a lasso. As Chen pulls on the rope, Cash swings around the alley and winds up at an apartment. Meanwhile, Daniel, the bounty hunter, takes Colt into a corner for an alley and instructs him to cut himself. Daniel continues interrogating Colt to find out Cash's location, but when Colt refuses to tell the bounty hunter anything, Daniel shoots a tracker into his eye. Chen takes Cash to a van to replace her glass shadow detonator. When Cash goes online, she asks Chen if she can remove the explosive, but Chen points out that it has been implanted in her entire system. Chen informs her that the detonation clock in her vision will run until it hits 0, but the bomb will not explode. However, Chen activates the timer again with her detonator to demonstrate that she is in control. After deactivating the bomb, Chen asks Cash to give her information about her partner. She offers to give Cash safe passage, great, out of the country if she divulges his location. Now, when the bounty hunter falls asleep, Colt picks the lock of his handcuffs and sneaks away. As soon as Colt leaves, Daniel, the bounty hunter, opens his eyes and looks at his trackers to find out where he's going. He's a bounty hunter. Did you really expect to just pick a lock? Cash meets Colt at the museum and immediately detects the tracker in his eye. So she advises him to stay in the dark and avoid revealing any landmarks to keep the tracker off their trail. While waiting to hear from Mercy, Colt reveals that he hated all the cyborgs at Pinwheel because he thinks they're the company's attempt at playing demons and mini-gods. He thought that the cyborgs were just twisted versions of Pinocchio, but he changed his mind once he got to know Cash. Colt notes that he was scared and when he started having feelings for her because he thought that Pinwheel was getting better at playing mini-gods. He stresses that he's now more than afraid for Cash than he is for himself because he knows what kind of treachery the company is capable of. Because they started making fake mini-gods and thinking that they can do anything when they really cannot do nothing because there is only one god. The bounty hunter soon arrives at the museum and witnesses them kissing. Suddenly Chen turns up and starts shooting at the couple. After Colt and Cash escape, Daniel the bounty hunter and Chen fire at each other while Daniel is hiding behind a glass display. Chen shoots the glass and Daniel screams in pain as the shards pierce his reconstructed face. Chen soon catches Colt and Cash in an exhibit of a typical American home and fires her weapon at them. After Chen stops shooting, Cash engages Chen in hand-to-hand combat and manages to disarm her. When Chen knocks her down, Colt joins the fight, but she blocks his attacks and beats him. Oh buddy. Cash eventually gets up, only to be slammed against the kitchen counter. This is a pretty heated up thing going on. As Chen attempts to grab Colt, Cash gets up and kicks her to the wall. Due to the force of the kick, Chen goes through the wall and gets electrocuted upon hitting the fuse box. The two discover that Chen is a cyborg as she tears open her skin. On their way out of the museum, Colt and Cash come across a synthetic dog. Cash figures that Mercy must have sent them, so they follow the dog to a tunnel. The dog leads them to an abandoned shipyard called Downtown. When they get in touch with Mercy inside a ship, he informs them that the boat he rented to take them out of the country burned down. Mercy has used up his last bit of money, so he advises Colt to participate in a snuff combat called the Blade to get money for another boat. So in this Blade thing, he explains that the fight takes place under the propeller of a dry dock ship in downtown, kind of like downtown Manhattan. But it's not Manhattan, New York. So, in this dry dock ship, only one of the two fighters will eventually come out, of course. Colt is hesitant to sign up, but Mercy points that it's the only way to get to Mombasa, the only free zone for unlicensed cyborgs. Mombasa. Later, Daniel, the bounty hunter, contacts Dunn to inform him that he has raised his fee and retrieval of the cyborg is no longer an option. The board members decide to fire him, but the bounty hunter hints they'll keep on pursuing Cash to destroy her. While Wildcard takes off the tracker from Colt's eyes, Mercy goes on to warn Cash that their love will end up in a tragedy because Cash, on one hand, can live for a millennium and stay young, but Colt the human will grow and die. He tells Cash that their love can only survive if one of them crosses over and lives the time of their beloved. After the operation on Colt, Cash asks Wildcard about Mercy's history, so he discloses that he used to command a fleet. When Mercy was wounded in battle, the Navy decided to rebuild him with cyborg parts. However, Mercy soon became a renegade and a rebellious thing, and just a commando for her own. Wildcard reveals that Mercy became a gun runner in the Middle East and led a coup in Mozambique, Africa. Colt notices a picture of a woman beside his bed, so Mercy tells him that she's his deceased wife, Velma. He knows that Velma is a cyborg searching for a better world, so she spent her time helping renegade robots escape from Pinwheel. Mercy recounts that Daniel eventually caught Velma, but not before she inflicted severe injuries on him. Mercy instructs Colt to take the ring from his drawer, noting that there's something he must do before going into battle. Later, Colt puts the ring on Cash's finger and makes love to her. At the same moment, Mercy sits in the cockpit staring at a picture of his wife. Colt and Cash soon head to a ship called the Dragon to meet with the fight promoter Bobby Lynn. Colt immediately asks Lynn about his opponent's record, so Lynn informs him that he's also a newcomer. A little bit later, Lynn heads to another room to inform Daniel the bounty hunter that everything has been set. As they prepare for the fight, Lynn tells Colt that the first round will have no blades, while round 2 will only have one. Both of the ship's blade will be activated. During round 3 and the final round, the bounty hunter and Colt soon to go to the dock to fight. Now the bounty hunter and Colt are ready to go to the dock to fight. After hearing the bell, Colt strikes the first blow and knocks the bounty hunter down. But Daniel gets up and twists his horn. At the end of the round, Pinwheel operators arrive and move into the pier to search for Cash. The second room starts and the two men return to the dock to continue fighting when Colt manages to knock the bounty hunter to the ground. The bounty hunter grabs a wooden plank and hits him in the head. Daniel pins Colt to the wall next to the running blade, but Colt hits him in the face and breaks free. Colt bashes the bounty hunter's head against the wall until the round ends. When the third round begins, Daniel uses a brass knuckle with a knife to attack Colt. Cash tries to help, but Lynn warns her, that Colt will be disqualified if she interferes. Daniel attempts to stab Colt, but he grabs Daniel's arm and pushes him towards the blades. The bounty hunter screams in pain as the running blades crush his face. Soon the operators arrive and throw a grenade at the dock, so Cash grabs the money from Lynn's hand and flees with Colt. Two operatives chase after them, but Cash manages to knock down one of them and grab his gun. After shooting the other operative, the couple makes their way to the yard. When the operatives catch up to them, Colt stops Cash from shooting at them, fearing that they'll fire back. Cash assures him that they won't damage her because she's expensive, but one operator shoots Colt in the leg instead. As the soldiers surround them, Mercy appears on a TV screen and commands Colt for the winning and exalts Colt for winning the fight. Then Mercy detonates an explosive nearby to distract the operators and allow the couple to escape. Soon Mercy comes out of the hiding and fires grenades at them. Now as these operators are being dealt with, Colt and Cash make their way to the boat that will take them to Mombasa. Despite the fight he put up against the operators, Mercy gets caught and delivered to Pinwheel's headquarters. Dunn now appears, and Dunn shows him Chen's detonator and shares that it has a 2,000-mile range. He then pushes the button, expecting that it will detonate Cash's glass shadow. But the device activates, and it activates the explosive inside Mercy. A moment later, the bomb explodes and destroys the Pinwheel facility. Cash and Colt soon reach Mombasa and start living in peace on a remote property. As the decades pass, Colt grows old and frail, but Cash never left and never leaves his side. Talk about a good woman. Talk about a woman that every man would love to have. If you have received value in this video, I thank you because you know what to do and I don't need to ask you. Thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing, and doing all that goody chit chat. If this one took a long time, thank you for your time and thank you for listening.